The trade deadline's over, and that means it's time for me to give my official grades for every team for the 2021 MLB trade deadline. Something I've done on the channel, what feels like for the last 2 or 3 years here, always does well. It's always a little controversial. Anytime I grade things, people have something to say. So of course, as always, if you have something to agree or disagree with or something you want to talk about, get in the comment section down below. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm super excited to get your guys' opinion on the trade deadline because so many teams were active. A few were kind of dormant. You'll be able to see my thoughts and opinions on your trades that I maybe didn't make videos on in today's video. So of course, if you are enjoying what you're seeing here, make sure to drop a like on it. Best way to show your support, as well as subscribe to the channel. If that sub button is red, it means you're not subscribed. So click it, subscribe so you get notifications for when I upload. Drop me a follow on my Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, everything. GiraffeNeckMarc, links in description. And let's just get going into this. In no particular order, let's get it started off with the Philadelphia Phillies. For the Phillies trade deadline, they brought in Freddie Galvis, Kyle Gibson, Ian Kennedy, and Hans Kraus, who's the number 4 prospect in their system. I'm gonna give the Phillies a B. Freddie Galvis is a good depth middle infield guy, could even play a corner spot if you need him to. Switch hitter, good glove. Kyle Gibson's a very, very solid starting pitcher that they need to add to a rotation that could use it, especially when you're throwing Vince Velasquez out there every 5 days and Chase Anderson. Ian Kennedy is a nice, competent bullpen arm that's been good out in Texas. And Hans Kraus is a legitimate prospect. I give the Phillies a B. It's a pretty good job for them this trade deadline. The Baltimore Orioles are up next, and they brought in one player during the deadline, Tyler Birch. Tyler Birch isn't even ranked in their farm system. The Orioles get an F. The Orioles did horrible this trade deadline. They had a lot of bullpen arms that they could have moved and leveraged into some prospect pieces for their rebuild. I don't understand why they're holding on to some of the guys on their roster that they did. That's an absolutely terrible job for me by the Orioles. They get an F. The Pittsburgh Pirates, one of the most active teams. Let's go through the laundry list of players that they brought in. Michael Chavis, Bryce Wilson, Ricky DeVito, Carter Binns, Joaquin Tejada, Diego Castillo, Hoy Park, Tucupita Marcano, Jack Sawinski, Michelle Miliano, Braden Ogle, and Dylan Peters. Guys of note, Michael Chavis at one point was a decent prospect in the Red Sox farm system, kind of a man without a position, could hit for some home run power. Bryce Wilson, an arm that they got from the Braves, a competent major league starter, hasn't really ever been that good though. Carter Binns goes to number 30 in the Pirates farm system according to MLB Pipeline. Tucupita Marcano is essentially their replacement for Adam Frazier, very similar players. Number 7 in their pipeline, former top 100 prospect. Jack Sawinski, Miliano are moving up the rankings, having good seasons. Hoy Park is a major league ready player from South Korea who they got from the Yankees, who was tearing it up in AAA. I think it's a decent deadline. I think they got a lot of pieces back to add to that minor league depth. I'm gonna give the Pirates a B. Heading up north here to the Boston Red Sox, and they got 3 players: Austin Davis, Hansel Robles, and Kyle Schwarber. While I like the addition of Kyle Schwarber, he probably isn't gonna play until September. Hansel Robles is, he's Hansel Robles. As a Mets fan, I'm not too sold on him. And Austin Davis is a left-hand arm they got from Michael Chavis. Give the Red Sox a D+. They had a potential here to really push themselves forward in the American League East and in the American League, and they kind of just got marginally better. I'm not really sold on this deadline. Heim kind of didn't do much. Another team in the Red Sox division here, the Toronto Blue Jays, very, very active. One of the most aggressive teams, but was it good? Joakim Soria, Jose Berrios, Brad Hand, and Trevor Richards is who they brought in this deadline. Jose Berrios has the potential to be an ace. He's a frontline starter. He's very, very good, but didn't come at a cheap cost. Joakim Soria, solid reliever, been there for years. He's just a veteran that you like to add to a bullpen that's been a little bit weak. Same thing with Brad Hand. Even though I'm not a huge Brad Hand guy, it's a solid addition. It definitely helps that pen. And same thing with Trevor Richards. I gave the Blue Jays a B+. I can't give them an A just yet because I would have loved to see them really get some solid bullpen arms. And I don't know if this is what makes them a playoff team just yet, but I like that they got Jose Berrios for some control for some years. Granted, they had to give up a lot, but Berrios is going to be good. Soria is a nice pickup. I'm not sold on Brad Hand. He's the one who scares me. If that's your big bullpen arm you're bringing in here, not feeling too good. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, weird deadline. They brought in 2 players to be named later: Cooper Hummel, Alberto Ciprian, and Mason Byrne. I don't know how to say it. Here's what you go for the Diamondbacks. That's a D. They had some contracts they could have moved. They could have maybe moved Ketel Marte. They're not really close to competing right now. Maybe try to move him as some Bumgarner, Merrill, Kelly, some more bullpen arms. Anybody on this team, I expect them to be a little more aggressive here in moving and getting some prospects. They didn't get much back. The Atlanta Braves, super active, specifically in the outfield market. This trade deadline, they brought in Josh Peterson, Eddie Rosario, Jorge Soler, Adam Duvall in the outfield. Behind the plate, they got Steven Vogt, and in the bullpen in relief, they got Richard Rodriguez. I gave the Braves a B. Richard Rodriguez is a really solid pickup. While he does throw like 85% fastballs, he has been a very good reliever over the last few years, and the Braves need that help in the bullpen. They addressed the outfield need by losing Marcell Ozuna and Ronald Acuna. They now got 4 guys out there that are very competent: Jorge Soler, home run hitter; Adam Duvall, home run hitter; Jock Peterson, home run hitter; Eddie Rosario, kind of a good player, just not really having a great season; and Steven Vogt, nice catcher to bring in. A solid little deadline for them. They definitely improved. The Kansas Kansas City Royals. Oh man, I wish the Royals would sell. I really wish they would, because they could get so much for guys like Whit Merrifield, but yet he's still on the team. Guys like Scott Barlow, they have players to move. And this deadline, they brought back Casey Kalich, who's number 24 in their organization, Joel Payamps, and a player to be named later. The Royals get a D from me. They have potential to make some huge moves here and really help that rebuild, and they just continue to want to be bad. I don't get it. Like, how does Minor, Carlos Santana, how do these guys not get moved? The St. Louis Cardinals, the other Missouri team here, they got Jay Happ and they got John Lester. Those aren't really good arms for a team that, I don't even know. What do these moves even tell you that they're doing? Are they trying to make a push for the playoffs? Because if they are, that's an F. If they're trying to not, it's still not very good. So give them a D. They didn't really give up much, but they also didn't bring in anything of quality. Jay Happ and John Lester, if you're trying to tell your fans you're pushing for the playoffs, those can't be the names you bring in. This isn't 2010, 2012. Even 2015, it's not. The Minnesota Twins, ooh, what a deadline for the Twins. They were sellers, but they brought in a lot of good pieces here. John Gant, Evan Sisk, Alex Scherf, and then here's where we start talking about these prospects here. Austin Martin, who's the number 2 prospect in their system, number 15 in all of Major League Baseball according to Pipeline. Simeon Woods Richardson, right-handed pitcher, number 3 prospect in their system, 67 according to Pipeline. Joe Ryan, number 9 in their system, and Drew Strotman, number 15 in their system. The Twins get an A. They loaded up, revamped that farm system. They got rid of Berrios, but they got a ton of value back in Martin and Simeon Wood Richardson. For Nelson Cruz, an old DH on an expiring contract, they got 2 guys inside their top 15. Joe Ryan, who has some sick stuff. Him and Strotman both MLB ready pretty soon. I thought this was a really, really good deadline by the Twins. It actually isn't really a rebuild. This is a retooling. I know if you've been watching my Twitch streams, I've been saying retooling's a bad word. It's a lame way to say rebuild, but seriously, the Twins just retooled. Really good job by them. The Washington Nationals, they're not retooling. They're rebuilding, but boy, are they doing a really, really good job of it. They got Lane Thomas in the John Lester trade. He's a competent MLB player, at once a somewhat highly touted prospect. Drew Milas, I don't know how to pronounce it. He's number 24 in their system, a catcher. Seth Schumann, Ricardo Guash, number 30 in their system. Aldo Ramirez came over in the Schwarber trade. He's number 11. Mason Thompson, number 16 from the Padres. Jordy Barley, number 28. And then here we go with the big ones. Kyber Ruiz, their new number 1 prospect in their farm system, number 40 in the Pipeline. Josiah Gray, number 2 in their system, number 41 in the Pipeline. Donovan Casey, number 27. Gerardo Carrillo, number 10. And Riley Adams, number 13. The Nationals added 10 prospects to their top 30 in their prospect rankings according to Pipeline. That alone is a phenomenal trade deadline. You're rebuilding, you're getting rid of expiring contracts, and you bring in 10 guys to your top 30. That's fantastic. And you brought in Kyber Ruiz and Josiah Gray. Unbelievable job by the Nationals front office. This was a fantastic execution of a rebuild. It stinks. I know it's tough to give a team that just traded away Trey Turner and Max Scherzer an A grade, but I'm going to give it to them because I think that they rebuilt and they're retooling and they're grabbing prospects of value at an extremely high rate. That's a really good job. San Francisco Giants, they only made 2 moves, but they were 2 impactful ones. They got Kris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs and Tony Watson from the Los Angeles Angels. I give the Giants a B+. Kris Bryant is the bat they needed. They need that Kris Bryant bat. It lengthens that lineup. It adds a legitimate power, average, whatever it is, OPS. He's one of the better third basemen in the league, top 10 for sure. He can play the corner outfield spot. He can play center field. He can play third. He can play first. He even played a little shortstop the other night for the Cubs. He's got the versatility. He's a great pickup. And Tony Watson's a nice left-handed reliever that's had success in San Francisco before. B+. For the Chicago Cubs, just like the Nationals, big rebuild phase here. And they traded off all their big guys, Rizzo, Baez, Bryant. They're making moves. And they got a lot back. Alexander Canario, number 7 in their farm system. Caleb Killian, number 16. Pete Crow Armstrong, number 6 in their system. First-round pick from last year. Nick Madrigal. Cody Hoyer from the White Sox. Kevin Alcantara. Alexander Vizcaino from the Yankees. Alcantara's number 11. Vizcaino's number 8. Bailey Horn. Greg Deichmann, I don't know how to say it. He's number 20 in their system. Daniel Palencia, Bryce Ball, and Anderson Espinoza, who used to be a top 50 prospect but has been injured recently. I give the Cubs an A. While they didn't maybe get one of those top 100 guys, they had a lot of dudes on expiring contracts and actually were able to rebuild this farm system here, getting quality guys like Alexander Canario, who I think is honestly a borderline top 100 guy, along with Pete Crow Armstrong, who's also a borderline top 100. 2 really good outfield prospects. Nick Madrigal's an MLB player who's going to be on the Cubs for cheap for a long time and be a very productive player. Cody Hoyer, good reliever. I like the deadline by the Cubs, even though they just tore down their dynasty. It's over. Sorry, Cubs fans. But at least you got an A in the deadline. You got some pieces back. For the Texas Rangers, you saw them move guys like Joey Gallo, Kyle Gibson, Ian Kennedy. But they got some good stuff back. They got Spencer Howard back from the Phillies, who was a top 100 prospect, was a top prospect in the Phillies organization. He's ready to go at the major league level. You get him out of that bandbox in Citizens Bank. You get him into a big stadium in Globe Life. This could do things for his career. Glenn Otto from the Yankees, number 25 in the Rangers system. Ezekiel Duran, number 8. Josh Smith, number 7. And Trevor Hauver, number 18. team. I gave the Rangers a B+. I think for what they gave up, they got a lot back, and they got a really nice arm in Spencer Howard, very reminiscent of the Dane Dunning pickup in the Lance Lynn trade. I liked what the Rangers did at the deadline. Pretty good job. Now for my favorite team, the New York Mets. This deadline was interesting. We brought in Javi Baez and Trevor Williams from the Cubs. We brought in Rich Hill, and we brought in Carlos Rincon in a trade from the Dodgers. I gave the Mets a C. I think the Mets technically got better. We needed some pitching. We got Rich Hill, who is an improvement on Jared Eichhoff, who had been pitching, but Rich Hill was our arm. And with the Mets rotation, which needed help, I'm not crazy about this. I'm not particularly excited with Rich Hill and Trevor Williams as my only pitching acquisitions. And then while Javi Baez is a very solid player and definitely makes his team better, it wasn't my main concern with this team. Yes, Lindor is going to be out for a little bit longer than we expected, and he can move over to second base when Lindor comes back. He's very good, Javi Baez, but I wanted the Mets to address that starting pitching, and we got Rich Hill and Trevor Williams. To me, it's a lackluster deadline. It's a C grade. The Oakland A's making some moves, improving for sure. Josh Harrison and Yan Gomes from the Nationals, Starling Marte from the Marlins, and Andrew Chafin from the Cubs. I gave the Oakland A's a B+. This is a really good deadline for them. Marte is a very, very solid outfielder. Could play center field at a Gold Glove level. He's going to go to the corners. He's going to be great. He's hitting well this year, stealing bases, looks healthy. Love to see it. Andrew Chafin, really good left-handed reliever. You know the Oakland A's can never have too many relievers. And then they got Josh Harrison and Yan Gomes to add depth to this team. You know they love to put guys all around the infield. They love to switch guys in. Josh Harrison's been raking this year ever since he separated those hands, can play a variety of positions. And Yan Gomes is a really good catcher, defensively at least. Chicago White Sox, one of the best teams in the AL, and they improved a ton. They grabbed Cesar Hernandez to play second base, fill that hole because Nick Madrigal's out for the year. Craig Kimbrell for the bullpen, Ryan Tepera, and Davey Gruyan, who's a backup catcher. Yeah, this is an A. You addressed the needs. And even then, the bullpen had been pretty good for the White Sox, but grabbing Kimbrell and Tepera now puts them as maybe the best bullpen in baseball at the absolute worst top 3, and Cesar Hernandez fills the hole at second base. So really good job by the White Sox. This team is scary good in the American League. Milwaukee Brewers, the Rays North, what did they do? They grabbed Daniel Norris from the Tigers, Eduardo Escobar from the Arizona Diamondbacks, John Curtis from the Marlins, and Rowdy Tellez from the Blue Jays. Rowdy Tellez is going to be a power hitter for them. He hits the ball so hard, just a couple tweaks here and there, and you can make Rowdy Tellez into a very useful player. Eduardo Escobar, as we know, has that position flexibility. He can play a little third, a little second, a little first, having a good year, extra base hit machine. And then Daniel Norris and John Curtis. If the Brewers are interested in some arms, I'm interested because they're kind of like the Rays. They get guys, they make them sick. Daniel Norris, we've seen, has the ability to go multiple innings from the left-hand side. John Curtis, he's a sick athlete, by the way. Also a pretty good reliever. Good job by the Brewers. I gave them the B. The Detroit Tigers made one move. They brought in Reese Olson in that Daniel Norris trade, number 13 in their system. I give him a C. The reason being, while Reese Olson, that's a nice pickup for Daniel Norris. I thought the Tigers could have sold off more, gotten some more pieces back for that rebuild, maybe get rid of a Cisnero, Gregory Soto, Jonathan Scope. I thought they had guys to move and get more prospects back. The Miami Marlins, Kim Ong, pretty good first deadline for. Alex Jackson from the Braves, Jesus Luzardo from the Oakland A's, that's a huge one. Peyton Henry, Austin Pruitt, and Brian De La Cruz is number 29 in their system. Pruitt and De La Cruz came over in that Astros trade for Yimi Garcia. De La Cruz is a decent little player. Pruitt's got a nice arm, but the big piece here is Jesus Luzardo, a former top prospect in the league, one of the best left-handed pitching prospects that we had seen just a few years ago. While he hasn't been able to show the success at the major league level, the stuff jumps off the page for you, and of course he beat my Mets last night. So Jesus Luzardo is a sick pickup for the Marlins, giving up Starling Marte. They get a B. I'm not completely going crazy over what they got, but they did get a pretty good chunk back. The Cleveland Indians, can't believe they continue to sell, but that's just how the Indians are. They love to cry poor. Pablo Sandoval, who they promptly cut, Connor Pilkington, Miles Straw, and Peyton Battenfield, who's number 28 in their system. The Indians get a D for me. The fact that this team is competitive, could compete for a playoff spot, and just continues to sell, and get rid of players, to me it's a D. You could take it one way. You could say they're shedding salary and rebuilding that farm system, getting some players that are competent, or you could take it my way and saying this is a team that could push for a playoff spot and chose to get worse. I don't like it from the Indians. I don't like seeing competitive teams choose to be less competitive. San Diego Padres, oh, I'm sorry, Padres fans, you thought you had Scherzer? No. Instead, you got Daniel Hudson, Adam Frazier, and Jake Marisnick. To me, this is a B. Little underwhelming from the Padres, especially when you see what the teams in their division did. I'm not completely sold on Adam Frazier being the missing piece. You can be mad at me. It's whatever. I'm going to stand by it. Daniel Hudson's a nice reliever. Jake Marisnick's a good backup outfielder. It's a B. The Padres didn't make themselves by any means a clear and obvious favorite in the NL West, especially when the other teams improved. Talking about the other team that improved here, the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't really need to say what their grade is here. It's obvious. It's an A+. Max Scherzer, Trey Turner, Danny Duffy, Billy Bonds, Billy McKinney. I mean, the Dodgers brought Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. Like, what? I don't even care about the other moves. Those two alone, you get an A+. I don't care what you give up. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The Dodgers will do anything to win a World Series. Max Scherzer and Trey Turner will probably be the reason why they can lock it up pretty easy this year. A+, no doubt. And then, let's talk about the New York Yankees, who also had a really really good trade deadline. Anthony Rizzo, Joey Gallo. It didn't start off hot. You got Clay Holmes. They also brought in Andrew Heaney too from the pitching side. Now, while Heaney didn't have a great first start, Joey Gallo and Rizzo are two legitimate players on this team that are going to help them out. They got control over Gallo. Rizzo is a left-handed batter who doesn't strike out, plays good first base. The Yankees had a fantastic deadline. A+. They didn't give up that much, and they brought in Gallo, Rizzo, and Heaney. I love these moves by the Yankees. Absolutely one of the better deadlines. A+. Joey Gallo's sick. Joey Gallo's so good. How'd they get him? Seattle Mariners. A little bit of buyers, a little bit of sellers. Got rid of Kendall Graveman, brought in Diego Castillo, Abraham Toro, Joe Smith, and Tyler Anderson. Gave the Mariners a C+. This is a team that could have bought really aggressively. Maybe a Whit Merrifield, maybe a Trevor Story, maybe a John Gray. They kind of settled for Tyler Anderson, who's just kind of the back end of the pitching market. Abraham Toro and Joe Smith, like, you got control over Toro, but I don't like giving up Graveman, especially when you could have gotten a lot more in my eyes. And Diego Castillo's a nice pickup. I like that for the bullpen, but I don't know if the Mariners got much better this deadline. So that's why it's a C+. Just so slightly better, I guess. They could make the playoffs though, and they just kind of didn't do much. The Rays are always making moves. We know that. They brought in JT Chargois, I don't know how to say it. Austin Shenton, who's number 22 in their system from the Mariners. Nelson Cruz, Jordan Luplow, DJ Johnson, Sean Armstrong, Tommy Hunter, and Matt Dyer. I like the addition of JT Chargo, whatever his name is. He was having a good season in Seattle. The Rays will make him even better. Austin Shenton is raking in AA, so I'm sure he'll be up at some point in the next 2 years and be great for the Rays because, of course, Nelson Cruz and Jordan Luplow adding some right-handed power to that lineup. Cruz destroys baseballs. Luplow owns lefties, and as we know, in that division, in the AL East, might be nice to have a guy who can crush lefties when you got a guy like Ryu on the Blue Jays, Chris Sale on the Red Sox, Eduardo Rodriguez. The Yankees got Jordan Montgomery. They brought in Andrew Heaney. It's a nice pickup. I gave the Rays a pick. They got better. This is just what the Rays do. They get nice little pieces, platoons. They're always smart. The Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are low-key in it. The Reds, if they were in the NL East, would be in first place. The Reds are a decent little team here, but they've got no bullpen, so they addressed that a little bit, I guess. Luis Cessa, Justin Wilson, Michael Givens. It's okay. Like, yes, they improved their bullpen, but I wanted to see the Reds do a little more. You could have gotten maybe a starting pitcher or maybe another shortstop, Trevor Story, Whit Merrifield. Those guys were available, apparently. Probably for a lot, but no, I gave the Reds a C. Cessa is okay. Justin Wilson's having a bad year. Michael Givens, okay. I don't know. I can't get excited about the moves they made, and if you're a Reds fan, I'm sure you're not excited either. Had a chance to push forward. You kind of just barely got better, maybe. The Houston Astros, the best team in the American League in my eyes, continued to get better. They brought in Kendall Graveman and Rafael Montero from the Mariners, Phil Maton from the Indians, Yainer Diaz, who's a prospect, and Yimi Garcia from the Marlins. The Astros' one big problem this year has been their bullpen. Their lineup's loaded, their rotation's loaded, and they brought in Kendall Graveman, who's been sick, Phil Maton, who's decent, Rafael Montero, who's shown sparks of being a competent reliever, and Yimi Garcia, who's good. 4 relievers at the major league level brought in to a team that just needed bullpen. B+. Almost a awesome trade deadline for the Astros. The Los Angeles Angels, they made some moves. I mean, they brought in Jansen Junk, number 21 prospect in their system, and Elvis Paguero, number 22 from the Yankees, Jose Marte, Ivan Armstrong, and Sam Selman. They got to see, nothing moves the needle here. You grab some low-end, mid-tier prospects, and you didn't really do much. I don't know what to do with the Angels. Are they competing? Are they trying to? They're getting hot. They get cold. What's the deal with this team? I wish they would just make the playoffs for Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani's sake. And then we have the best for last, or I should say the worst for last, the Colorado Rockies. They didn't trade Trevor Story. They didn't trade John Gray. They didn't trade German Marquez. They brought in Ashton Godot, who was a bit of Rocky before, I believe. They brought in Case Williams, who they drafted, traded to the Reds, and then brought him back, number 21 prospect in their system, and they brought in Noah Davis. This gets an F. The fact that the Rockies didn't move Trevor Story, John Gray, German Marquez, a lot of the pieces on this team, I mean, anybody should have been made available. You traded Nolan Arenado. You gave the Cardinals money for what? Austin Gomber and a few mid-tier level prospects, and you don't trade Trevor Story? You price yourself out for a compensatory pick? The Rockies are the most incompetent organization in all of Major League Baseball. I'm so sorry, Rockies fans, that you have to deal with this idiotic front office. The stadium's beautiful, the team's cool, but my God, whoever is running this team should be forced to sell. The GM, I know, got fired. They should fire this guy too that they didn't trade with Trevor Story. Clear house, clean house. The Rockies, the ownership should be forced to sell that they were not able to trade Trevor Story or John Gray or German Marquez. It's terrible. It's awful. It's despicable. Incompetence. Gross incompetence. This is so friggin' bad. I can't give it a worse grade. F. Can I give it a Z rating? We're gonna put a Z rating on there. Thank you, editor, for the magic of editing. The Rockies get a Z. This is the worst trade deadline in history. Yes, they brought in a few players, but you didn't move Trevor Story. You didn't move Trevor Story. You didn't move John Gray in a market that was so favorable for sellers. This is is awful. Awful job by the Rockies front office. Terrible, despicable. And those are all my grades for the 2021 MLB trade deadline for every single team in the league. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Who had the best trade deadline? Who had the worst? Hint, it's the Rockies. They had the worst. It's just not even close. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. Drop me a follow on my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, links in the description. That's where I'm going to wrap up today's video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye!